Once upon a time, there lived a sweet little girl who was loved by everyone who saw her, but most of all by her grandmother, who couldn't spoil her enough. One day, she gave her a little cap made of red velvet, and because it suited her so well, she wore it all the time. So she came to be called Little Red Riding Hood. Then one day, her mother said to her, "Come, Little Red Riding Hood, here is some cake and a bottle of wine. Take them to your grandmother. She is sick and weak, and she'll enjoy them. Be nice and polite and give her my greetings. Go properly and don't stray from the path, or you will fall and break the glass. Then your poor grandmother won't get a thing." Little Red Riding Hood promised her mother she would be very obedient. Her grandmother lived out in the woods, half an hour's walk from the village. As Little Red Riding Hood went into the woods, she met a wolf. But she did not know what a wicked animal he was, so she was not afraid of him. "Good day, Little Red Riding Hood." "Thank you kindly, Wolf." "Where are you going so early, Little Red Riding Hood?" "To my grandmother's." "What are you carrying under your apron?" "My grandmother is sick and weak, so I'm bringing her cake and wine. We baked yesterday, so she can get well again." "Little Red Riding Hood, where does your grandmother live?" "A quarter of an hour further into the forest. Her house stands under the 3 large oak trees. The hazel hedges grow below. I'm sure you know the place," said Little Red Riding Hood. The wolf thought to himself, "That's a good plump morsel for me, if only I can manage to get it." "Hear me, Little Red Riding Hood," he said. "Haven't you seen the beautiful flowers growing in the woods? Look around you. I don't think you've listened to how sweetly the little birds sing. You're walking along as if you were going to school in the village, and it's so lovely out here in the woods." Little Red Riding Hood opened her eyes and saw the sunlight breaking through the trees and the beautiful flowers all around her. Then she thought, "Hey, if I bring grandmother a bouquet, she'll love it. It's still early. I'll still make good time." And she ran into the woods to look for flowers. And when she had picked one, she saw an even prettier one and ran after it, deeper and deeper into the woods. The wolf, however, went straight to her grandmother's house and knocked on the door. "Who is it?" "It's Little Red Riding Hood. I've brought you cake and wine. Open up." "Just press the handle," cried grandmother. "I'm too weak to get up." The wolf pushed the handle and the door sprang open. He went inside, straight to grandmother's bed, and swallowed her whole. Then he took her clothes, put them on, put her cap on his head, lay down in her bed, and drew the curtains. Little Red Riding Hood, meanwhile, had been running around collecting flowers. It was only when she had so many that she couldn't carry any more that she set off for her grandmother's house. When she arrived, the door was open, which surprised her. When she entered the room, it looked so odd that she thought, "Ay, good heavens, how fearful I am today. I usually love to be at my grandmother's house." Then she went to the bed and drew back the curtains. There lay grandmother, her cap pulled low over her face, looking rather odd. "Oh, grandmother, what big ears you have." "So I can hear you better." "Oh, grandmother, what big eyes you have." "So I can see you better." "Oh, grandmother, what big hands you have." "So I can grab you better." "But grandmother, what a terribly big mouth you have." "So I can eat you better." With that, the wolf jumped out of bed, leaped at poor Little Red Riding Hood and swallowed her whole. Now that the wolf had got his plump morsel, he lay down again in bed, fell asleep, and began to snore very loudly. A hunter was just passing by and thought, "How can such an old woman snore so loudly? I've got to see this." He went in, and when he came to the bed, there lay the wolf he had been searching for. He had surely eaten the grandmother, but maybe she could still be saved? "I won't shoot," thought the hunter. Instead, he took up some shears and cut open the wolf's belly, and after a few snips, he saw the flash of a Little Red Riding Hood. And when he had cut a little more, the girl jumped out and cried, "Ah, how frightened I was! It was so dark inside the wolf's belly." And then the grandmother also came out alive. Little Red Riding Hood fetched large, heavy stones, and with them they filled the wolf's belly. When he awoke, he wanted to spring away, but the stones were so heavy that he fell down and died. The three of them were very merry. The hunter took the wolf's pelt, the grandmother ate the cake and drank the wine that Little Red Riding Hood had brought, and Little Red Riding Hood thought to herself, "I shall never again stray from the path into the woods alone if my mother has forbidden it." It is also said that once, when Little Red Riding Hood was bringing baked goods to her grandmother, the wolf spoke to her and tried to lead her astray. But Little Red Riding Hood was clever and went straight on her way. She told her grandmother about a wolf that had wished her good day, but whose eyes had looked very wicked. "If I hadn't been on the open road, he would have eaten me up." "Come," said the grandmother, "let's lock the door so he can't get in." Soon after, the wolf knocked and called out, "Open up, grandmother. It's me, Little Red Riding Hood. I've brought you some baked goods." But they kept quiet and didn't open the door. The evil one circled the house several times and finally jumped onto the roof, meaning to wait until Little Red Riding Hood went home in the evening. Then he would sneak up after her and eat her in the dark. But the grandmother knew what he was planning. She looked to a large stone trough sitting at the hearth. "Fetch the bucket, Little Red Riding Hood. Yesterday I cooked sausages. Carry the water they were cooked in to the trough." Little Red Riding Hood moved buckets of water until the large trough was completely full. The smell of sausages went up to the wolf's nose. He sniffed and peered down. At last, he stretched his neck so far that he couldn't hold on any longer. He began to slip and slid off the roof and right into the large trough, where he drowned. Little Red Riding Hood, however, went home happily and safely. This fairy tale, apart from our oral tradition, we have found, surprisingly, nowhere else but in Perrault's Chaperon Rouge, which inspired Tieck's adaptation.